Hello! Welcome back to Tales and Tales with Brittany. Today we are going to be going over my July reading wrap up, and Mr. Bean wants to be a troublemaker. Does not want to be held like a baby, unlike some cats that we know. He wants to be free. He's a free little soul. You don't need no human. I finished a total of 10 books in the month of July. From those 10 books, I read 3,168 pages, but of course I am an audiobook only listener, so that actually was all in audio hours. Turns out it averaged to about 90.5 hours of audio. Keep in mind, I do tend to have a lot of books that kind of are carrying over, so right now I am doing Dracula daily, which is a method of reading Dracula where you read each diary entry or journal entry kind of on the day of the month that it is happening. So this started back in, I believe, May, and it's going to go all the way until November. So this is a long reading project, and there's like some months where you don't read a lot because there's not a lot of entries, and then other months you read a significant amount. So that is a book and hours that aren't included in this number. I've also started The Wind Weaver. I restarted that one again. That isn't included in this number. Neither is my other two current reads, Mother of Death and Dawn and The Orc and the Innkeeper, which are both books that I'm expecting to carry over into August. So the first book that I finished in the month was The Teller of Small Fortunes. I unfortunately was quite disappointed in this book. I rated it a 2.5 stars. It felt like it was a book that suffered from being too cozy. I never thought that I would use the description of something not being cozy, of being something being too cozy to be a negative effect on a book, but it was too cozy. The adventuring is kind of meandering here and there. There was a storyline where there's a toddler, a missing child, and it felt like there wasn't a lot of urgencies to go out and find this missing child. This child at the point at the start of the book has been missing for many months, and it doesn't seem like there's much urgency to go out and find this. Luckily, without trying to be spoiler warning, it's a cozy book. They do end up finding the child, and everything ends up being okay. The next book that I read was The Duke and I, which is the first book in the Bridgerton series, and if you've seen the Netflix show, it's what the first season is based off of. I was actually pleasantly surprised. So I decided to do a little bit backwards last year, and I started the series by reading Romancing Mr. Bridgerton, which is the book that season 3 was based on of the Bridgerton Netflix show. It is the 4th book in the series, but they had to establish things in a certain way based on the timeline that they were changing. And Romancing Mr. Bridgerton bored me. I was bored to tears, and I read this before this season came out, and luckily they changed a lot from the book to the season. So I was expecting to read, when I read The Duke and I was expecting to overall be bored by it and even potentially DNF the series. It was kind of I might as well give it a chance because it was so popular, and I heard okay things about it. Like, the book didn't completely blow me away, but overall I did end up enjoying it, and I ended up rating The Duke and I, I ended up rating The Duke and I 3.5 stars, which is pretty good. The next book I read was The Wolf King by Lauren, I believe, Palfreyman. I do apologize, I'm probably saying that wrong. This book essentially feels like werewolves meets Outlander-esque, like Scottish werewolves. Overall, I enjoyed it. It was a quick read. It was a bingeable read. It kind of felt like a romance without any plot. Like, it didn't feel like as much happened other than she gets taken by this werewolf alpha, and her ex-fiance tries to get her back, and we get introduced to the two, well, I'm expecting the two love interests, because it is advertised, spoiler alert, it is advertised as a love triangle. So we'll see how things end up being in the second book, and definitely will continue on. But it also felt like nothing really happened. I rated The Wolf King 3.5 stars, excited to continue. Definitely felt like an introductory book, so we'll see how things continue on in the following series. So the following book, I believe it's called The Night Prince. Next, I finished a series which is fantastic. I finished the Once Upon a Con series, the one that starts with Geekerella by Ashley Poston. So I read Beauty, Bookish and the Beast, which, as you can expect by the name, was a Beauty and the Beast retelling. It was about a girl. She is very geeky and nerdy, very interested in a variety of things, such as a very Star Trek-esque franchise. And the main character is the male main character, the love interest. He is a movie star that plays the villain in the movie retelling that they are making adaptation of this favorite series, but he has been kind of disgraced at this point. He was a bad boy musician, and he has been kind of temporarily exiled by his step parents to this small town so that he can kind of get his act together, figure things out. She is forced to, it's like a forced proximity because she accidentally damages an extremely expensive first edition of a book in a library in this kind of dilapidated mansion that he's staying in, and to help reach payback for the costs of this damaged first edition, she's helping to organize the library. Overall, it was a fun time. I tend to enjoy the lightheartedness that most YA romances have, and overall it was a 4-star book. Overall, it's a 4-star series for me. I've left the books kind of overall feeling happy, and it's good to get another series off of my TBR. I will definitely read more books by Ashley Poston in the future. The next book that I read was The Ravenous Dead by Darcy Coates. This is the second book in the Gravekeeper series. In this series, it follows Kira, who has amnesia, and she doesn't know much about her past, but she can see ghosts. And the series is very much Ghost Whisperer vibes. I would describe it as cozy horror. There are definitely parts of the books that are a little bit darker. There are some minor horror elements, but overall it does seem cozy to me personally. Things are being resolved, but they're not necessarily being resolved in the way that you expect. Overall, I did enjoy the book. There was definitely a twist at the end I was not expecting. I rated the book about a 3.5 stars. Overall enjoyed it, but not as obsessed with it as I was hoping to be. There's some of my bookish friends, they are really enjoying this series and they've rated them 4 to even 5 stars. I'm just not getting that feeling, but I'm also not a big horror reader. Next, I read Origins of an Academy Bully, which is the prequel novella in the Zodiac Academy series. I read this as part of the Zodiac Academy Along that's being run by Read with Dr. B. Overall, I enjoyed this book. The audiobook was interesting because it felt like the audiobook narrator was just yelling at us the whole time. That definitely decreased my enjoyment of reading the book, so definitely I would recommend, if possible, reading this with your eyeballs, whether you get a physical copy of the novella or you read it on KU, or you buy the Kindle version or the ebook yourself. Overall, I enjoyed it. I prefer the actual series when the main character of our two twins much more, so I rated it about a 3-star. I read Barbarian Mine, which is the 4th book in the Ice Planet Barbarian series. So far, this has been my least favorite out of the Ice Planet Barbarian books. They're usually a smutty time, a bunch of women, they've crash landed onto a planet, and it's discovered that they are able to kind of coexist and essentially be fated mates to the established alien inhabitants. I believe they're the Sakwi, or the Sak or the Sakwi. Both of those terms are used a lot in the book. Didn't like this one as much because it follows more of a actual kind of barbarian trope. The main character in this one has been off on his own For years, he has been completely isolated since he was a very small child. I believe he was about 7 or 8. So there's a lot of things that he doesn't know. He's like fearful and has always been told to stay away from the others of his kind, but he is kind of fascinated by her. But because he has been away from civilization essentially his whole life, and especially been completely on his own since his father died when he was about 7, there are things he just doesn't know, and that just makes me kind of feel uncomfortable with reading in a spicier, in a spicy book. Ultimately, my brain questions things in regards to potential consent issues if it's someone who doesn't have kind of the background of what's fully going on, despite seeming to be an enthusiastic participant. It felt like an education of some type needed to happen with him before essentially the spicy content happened. My next book is Black Veil, which is the 4th book in the Green Rider series by Kristen Britton. I finished reading this book in mid-July. I started it back in May, but this is a series reread for me. I've read all of the series through, most of the series through multiple times. The most recent books I've only read once. Rereading the series in anticipation of the 8th book being released in September. I have 2 months to go to read 4 books, or 2 months to go to read 3 books and 2 novellas. So wish me luck, because the next book in the series is, I believe, my least favorite of the series, Mirror Sight. Still an overall enjoyable book. It just feels a little bit like a pointless book, and if anyone has read the series and read Mirror Sight, they would probably understand why it feels like it's kind of useless to the series. But anyway, rated Black Veil 4.5 stars. Next book that I read was Trust of the Emerald Sea. Absolutely loved this book. This book is a 6-star book for me. This was a reread for me. It's a beautiful, cozy book. I guess for me it is a boat book, because there are pirates in this book. So people who don't like traveling books or don't like more boat books might want to stay away. But essentially it is advertised as a Princess Bride retelling, but what would happen if Princess Buttercup left and went looking for Wesley. It was originally written kind of for Brandon Sanderson's wife, and I don't know, it's such a beautiful story. It's the only Brandon Sanderson that I've read before, but it definitely reads in the style of The Princess Bride. Definitely a lot of commenting and talking, kind of breaking of the fourth wall by the narrator character. I enjoyed this so much that I did end up buying the special edition by Dragonsteel Books, which is Brandon Sanderson's imprint. It is there's stunning illustrations in the book. Throughout the book, there is beautiful beautiful artwork throughout the book. There is, if you look at the book, it starts green, moves its way to red, and then moves its way to black, which is quite fun. A little 5-star chef kiss detail. It's stunning. But since I bought that, I also bought the little map cup. This is a cup that Charlie sends to Tress. It's her favorite one. Tress collects cups. And I have my own little Huck in here that Mr. Bean keeps trying to steal. It is technically a cat toy, and God is a cat toy, but they don't tend to play with it often, so he can be my little Huck right there, and then a beautiful Tress bookmark. The last book is Vampire Academy. I overall enjoyed this book. I did rate it 4 stars. I'm reading it as part of the Vampire Academy read along. I am a little bit behind. I'm supposed to be on book 2 by now, but I'll definitely be trying to catch up in August before we have the live show for the read along. Overall, I enjoyed it. As I said, I did rate it 4 stars. There is a bit of problematic content that I feel hasn't fully aged well, but it reads like a book I would have read and devoured in my teens, and that's what it's for. It's clearly written for a YA audience. It was addicting. It has a school setting with the name of Vampire Academy, and overall I had a good time. Good reading month. My average star rating for this month was 3.65, which is pretty good considering it was brought down significantly by the teller of Small Fortunes. Otherwise, everything else was a 3-star or above, which I think is kind of successful. Overall, I rate books as 3.5s. Aboves are, overall, I find that books I do end up really loving are the ones that are 3.5 stars and above, but sometimes there are books that I binge and I enjoy, but they're going to be 3 stars. So definitely something to look into. Actually, my average star rating for July was 3.65 stars. Pretty happy with that. I would want my goal to be a little bit closer to 3.75, if not almost a 4-star, but that would require there to be a lot of 5 stars. Overall, it was kind of a mid-ish month. I didn't end up having any really new favorites. My top 2 rated books of the month were rereads, and then other than that, I just had kind of a silly, goofy time. Nothing that I read and was immediately obsessed with, but that's okay. Sometimes you have months where you read a whole bunch of 5 stars, and other months you have more low-key experiences and you don't. But thank you so much for joining me for my reading wrap-up for July. Had a wonderful time. Enjoying being part of the BookTube community already. Everyone has been so welcoming. Definitely helps that I have some bookish friends already who are just out there hyping me up and telling me to keep on filming books. So look forward to see what August has in store for us. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Take care.